Hey everyone, it's Miss Prado, and today is October 29th, just a few days from Halloween, and I wanted to go over with you the Skeletal System Lab. It is an interactive lab online, and it's probably better than any real dissection lab that we could have done because it's taking some illustrative liberties with how we can actually manipulate the skeletal system. But that's actually pretty good. So this is what it's going to look like for you all, except I might of course have a reminder in here about doing your attendance form. And you'll notice there's only 3 questions this time. What I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to go to this interactive game, and I'll walk you through this here in a minute. Give me a screenshot when you've completed it. There's a second one, a skeleton anatomy viewer, and that deals with the whole skeletal system, whereas the first one just deals with the anatomy of bone tissue. And then at the end, I would like for you to tell me what worked for you, what didn't work for you in our lessons on formative. That way I can continue to improve what I do for you all, okay? All right, so the first one, this is a hyperlink right here. If you click on that, it should take you directly to the bone anatomy viewer. And there's a few things that you can go through here to get used to this. Oh, and I like this right here. This every time you refresh, like look, every day your bones produce almost 1% of your body's red cells. In a week, that's all the cells needed for almost half a liter or close to a pint of blood. And then if you refresh, it'll give you a new fact. So I just thought that was cool. So, okay. This introduction is for people who are new to this site. There's instructions on how to play. There's where you're actually going to play the game, and this is what you're going to do and generate a score that then you can upload the screenshot of. And then this is just if you'd like to do some more extra research or looking into other things. You can go to, I think it's the Arizona State University website for more information. But I'll go ahead and click on the introduction with you just really quick. You're going to want to go through this at your own pace, but I just wanted to show you here. The introduction is just going over bones, and that bones are alive. We kind of talked about that. Even though it's a solid thing, there are actually very intricate parts of it that are moving and changing all the time. The bone parts ID game, that's what you're going to be doing first, what I'm going to be walking you through. And then the skeleton viewer is the second one in the assignment, and it's very similar. It's just, again, going over the entire skeleton and not just the general anatomy of a bone. When you click on menu, notice there's these 3 things. There's introduction, how to play, and play the game. And then there's the menu button. It's going to take you back right where we started. New fact for Did You Know? How to play, here are the directions. So in the bone anatomy viewer, there's 2 modes. There's an explore, and then there's the identification game. You want to play with the explore a little bit before you go to the identification game. It just makes it easier for you to actually get the answers. So you're going to explore the bone on the how to play. Look around the bone, get to know its parts, and then play the identification game. When you're finished, you'll receive a final score and can print a summary of your game results. You don't need to, but you could. The score is based on the number of parts that you identified, correct versus incorrect answers. So if you just clicked a lot randomly, then your score is going to go down, even if you eventually click on the right answer, because your accuracy is down. And then time. You receive extra points if you go through it quicker. These are the buttons that we're going to see when we navigate through the game. There's select or inspect, depending on whether you're doing the explore or the identification. It's going to be select or inspect. The zoom in, of course, allows you to zoom in. And once you're zoomed in, you click it so you can zoom out. The center recenters the bone to the middle of your screen. And then reset sets it to the beginning. The cool part about this interactive lab here is the bone dissection buttons. So you can saw through the bone, you can use a scalpel to cut through layers delicately, You can scoop out parts of it. You can glue pieces of the bone back together if you want to start from scratch. You can even look at a microscopic level and see what's going on with the cells. And then if you're going to go back to the macro view, then you just click on bone and it takes you back out. Okay, so those are the basic buttons here. You can turn the sound off or back on. So I'm going to go ahead and go to, you can either click play game or you can go back to the menu. So here's the menu, and there's another fun fact. So play. I'm going to walk through a game for you, and before you click play, you're going to want to look down here. So test your knowledge by identifying the parts of the bone. You can have the anatomy part name, or the clue, or both. I suggest you do both, just because it helps more to have the name and the clue of what you're identifying. If you want a challenge, you can just do one or none. No, you have to do one, at least, because then that lets you know what you're looking for. And then you can either click play here or play here. I'm just going to click it there. All right, so this is the view of the bone. It's just a regular long bone. And you'll notice right here we have the name, nucleus, and then we have the description. So that's what I was saying. If you just click on the part, only the word nucleus would appear. If you just clicked on the clue, only this clue would appear. But since we clicked both, we'll get both the word and the clue, and that's going to make it a little easier. So we're talking about a nucleus. That's on the cellular level. Osteocytes. That's also a cellular level. Ooh, epiphysis. A round end of a long bone. So this is a long bone. We're looking for the rounded end of it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm on select. That's the diaphysis. That's the epiphysis. And we got it right. Okay, so now we've got to get to a cellular level for nucleus and osteocytes. So I'm going to have to saw this bone, and I can either do it with a transverse incision or a longitudinal incision. So see, I'm just hovering right now. Let's do a transverse. All right. I want to select a portion because I need to look at cells. And right now I've cut through the bone. I'm looking at the tissue, but I need to see the actual cells, not the tissue, but the individual cells. So that's highlighted. That's the outside. Let's click on this. These are individual cells. Oh, I needed to look at the cellular level. So that's something that I did wrong there. Click on cells. This is the area I want to see at the cellular level. There we go. Now it's letting me see it. Okay, so now the nucleus. I want to select. Let's see, these are cells together. So that means these are individual cells. The nucleus is going to be the teeny tiny center. There we go. Osteocytes should be this right here, right? It is right. And once you have that, once you have the first three, you can go ahead and click next. You'll notice it tells me that I correctly answered 3 out of 17. 3 answered, 0 skipped. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. When we're done with this, I'm going to be looking for that none of the answers were skipped. I don't really care what grade you get, really, because I just want to know that you actually went through the simulation and didn't skip anything. That's all I'm going to be looking for. So don't worry too much about what your actual score is or how long you took to get through it, okay? Right, so next is medullary cavity. Med, like middle, cavity. So that's going to be something structurally that has an opening. So we're not going to be talking about the cellular level on that. A blood vessel, tubes that carry blood around your body. Again, that's not a cell, that's like tissue. So I'm going to have to zoom out on these questions. And then cartilage, a flexible material found on the ends of bones. Okay, Let's go back to the bone level. Can I get to that? Let's reset. Let's just start from scratch. All right, so a flexible material found on the ends of bones. And so we talked about, remember, between bones we have the cartilage, and that's what helps the bones, the different bones of the body, work together without causing pain or excessive friction. Cartilage. Blood vessel. So I don't want the whole thing, I just want the vessel, right? Not that whole diaphysis, just that. Okay. Medullary cavity found in the center. Well, we're going to have to saw into the bone again. Not this way, this way. All right, so medullary cavity. So this is the marrow. It's not the cavity, it's the marrow. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab the scoop and I'm going to scoop the marrow out. It's kind of gross. All right, so now the marrow is out and now I have this space here. That's going to be, I'm pretty sure, the cavity. Let's see. There it is. That's the medullary cavity. Okay. Next. All right, so, I'm going to have to go back. Endosteum, the inner lining. And then diaphysis, the main shaft of the long bone. I'm going to have to go back to the regular bone. Here's what I'm going to do. Let's click on the glue. Let's try to put this back together. Well, it put the marrow back, but we also need to glue the bone pieces together. All right, so we got our bone back. The diaphysis, let's select. I know that that's the main shaft of the bone. Endosteum and, artery, the more muscular type of blood vessel. Well, that's still going to be one of these. Let's see, will it let me? No, it doesn't like me using that one. So it's going to be the red one. So blood vessels, it would take either one of those. Later when we get to the circulatory system, we'll learn the difference between arteries and veins. Arteries are red, veins are blue. And you can even kind of tell that when you look at your own veins. The bluer or darker ones carry deoxygenated blood, and those are the veins. For another section. All right, endosteum, the lining of the inner cavity of long bones. So we're going to have to do some fine surgery here. Let's use our scalpel. Let's see. Is this the inner lining? The lining of the inner cavity. Oh, no, not yet. I don't think it's that, but let's see. Nope. Now, if I had played with the game a little more, actually, lining of the inner cavity, we might actually have to go back to the center. Yeah. Because it's the inner lining, and I think this is all still, ooh, maybe. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? No, and that's as far as the dissection will let us go, right? So let's reset. Let's saw this sucker. Wait, no, let's do it this way. Let's saw him that way. Because if we're talking about the lining of the inner cavity of the long bone, lining of the inner cavity. Oh, maybe it's... No, that's still the outside one. Well, let's scoop out the... Scooping out the marrow. Let's select. So I know that that's the cavity, but it says the lining of the inner cavity. So let's see. There we go. And I did have to hover right on the edge of it. So when I first hovered in the cavity and then I hovered right on the edge, and that was the endosteum. Okay? We don't get that far in for our assessments, but that's something that's going to be on the explore part of this. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go through this real quick for time's sake. So we've kind of gone through how you can play with this. I'm going to go ahead and click here. If you click on show answer, that means 0 points. You're getting 0 points for it. It tells you how many you skipped. Okay, it'll show you where it is. So if you do get a little frustrated and you just have to see where it is, then you can click on show points. The only thing is that's going to show up on here how many you skipped. And so the only thing that I want is I do not want us to have any skipped. I don't care how low your accuracy is. I just want to see that you've attempted them, okay? Let me see. We have the vein and the canal. Let's glue this together. All right, so the vein is going to be the blue one. Arteries are red. Arteries are red. Sorry, I use alliteration to remember things, so veins are blue. So there are the veins. The canal, so a channel in the middle of an osteon. So that's not a large structure. Remember when we were talking about we were really talking about bone cells, right? So I know that I'm going to be looking at the cellular level. Cells. Okay, select. Let me go back to a channel in the middle of an osteon. So a channel is like an opening, right? That's highlighting the whole thing. That's not what I want. I'm trying to get this little space here. And that's where it is. That's the canal. Right there. All right? So next, now that you've identified all the bone parts, it will tell you your score. And I've been printing from my computer. That's why it's pulling up right here automatically. This is not what you need to turn in. There is a way, anytime you're on a printer, actually, or on a computer connected to a printer, you can actually choose to save it as a PDF. And then you can click Save. I think my picture's kind of hiding. Here we go. You can click Save. And then the computer will ask you where you want to save it on your hard drive. But you don't need to do that. Move myself back down. You could just take a screenshot of this right here and upload that to your formative. All right? So you could take a screenshot of that. Come back here, show your work, go to that, and then upload the picture. And that's how you get your points. Again, the actual grade on you that you get on it doesn't really matter to me. I just want to see that you tried each of those questions. Right, and you can you don't want to play a new game. I mean, you can if you want to start a new game. That's it for the bone anatomy viewer. So that's half of it. Now your other half of your formative, of your lab, interactive lab, is the skeleton anatomy viewer. And you'll notice it looks very much the same. Fun facts. Introduction, telling you about bones. Let's go back to our menu. How to play. It's the exact same setup. You can turn front and back. Magnification, small, medium, or large. To play, two things. You can explore, and then you can actually play the game. Now, for this one, if you want to practice with individual sections, you can. But I need for you, let's do that. Just click all. I need for you to click all when you're doing this to submit it, okay? And again, I would do the name and the clue just to make it easier. Just so you know what it looks like, I'm not going to get started on the game itself, but let's explore. So there's small, medium, or large, and here's what you're going to do. You're going to click on the person, and then you can drag. See, those are bones in the ear right there. So you can move that, and the view can be small, medium, or large. Right? And you can move all over the skeletal system. And you can click on the different bones, and it'll tell you what they are. So each of these bones are things that they will ask you for on the game. Okay, so I'm going to go to the menu, and it's telling you that you're going to lose all your progress, but this is just the explore, so you're not really losing anything. So that's where you're going to need to go for the second part. All right. That is your skeletal system lab, are these interactive games. Now the last part of this that I do have, I would like feedback from you. What do you think about the lessons that we've had for Unit 4? So that goes back to the other formative where we had all of the slides that we took notes on. What did you think about the worksheet that went with the video that you filled everything in? What did you think about the questions that came from the online textbook? So I just want to know what has worked for you so that I can continue doing that, and what hasn't really worked for you so that I don't keep doing that, okay? So let me know. Let me know. That is your lesson for the lab. Good luck.